Are we going to see big changes happening in the French Grand Prix? And is Ferrari going to be able to sustain what they had in Austria? Let's get right into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Formula One Digest. I'm your host, Tyson De Silva, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mark. And today we are going to be giving a preview of the French Grand Prix happening this weekend. Lots of storylines going into it. But Mark, first of all, Ferrari had such a great race in Austria 2 weekends ago. Do you think that they can keep up the pace going into this French Grand Prix?
Yes, I absolutely believe they could keep up the pace uh, going into the French Grand Prix, but keeping up the pace in Ferrari is a bit synonymous with having very, very bad luck. They can either keep up the pace really well, or they can have all of the bad luck and have another one of their engines blow up. We can't forget that there's still questions surrounding Carlos Sainz's engine after the Austrian Grand Prix and that big blow up. Who's to say that it won't all be Charles this week in France and him having his engine blow up?
Definitely. And we did see Charles had a DNF way back in the Baku race where there was a double DNF for Ferrari. And of course, one of those finishes was Charles, who had smoke coming out of the back of his engine. And I believe, again, its reliability issues have been pretty high this year for a number of teams. Ferrari have had their fair share of DNFs along with Red Bull and a bunch of other cars. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how these guys can, on at least how Carlos Sainz and Ferrari can bounce back after what happened last week.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
2 weeks ago.
pardon?
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm really big on Carlos Sainz right now, and I really want to see him do well in the sport. And it's a shame that he did have his engine blow up because it was looking like it was going to be a double Ferrari podium, if not a 1-2, because they did have the pace over Red Bull and Max Verstappen. And, going into the French Grand Prix, I would say that Ferrari is probably a little worried with their engines. And, that's the thing that Mercedes is going to need to take advantage of and hop on it if something does happen, and to hopefully have Checo in a position where he can score good points for them.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think that if you're Red Bull, when it's your home Grand Prix, you want to have good success. Everyone thought that they were going to just dominate the entire weekend, and it didn't really turn out that way. And so we're going to be looking to, and they're definitely going to have a bit of a chip on their shoulder saying, we didn't perform as well as we could have. Obviously, a lot of that was some bad luck with Checo. And then obviously they didn't have the pace that the Ferraris had. So they're definitely going to be looking to get a double podium or at least score massive points because Ferrari has trimmed their lead down a little bit. It's still pretty comfortable, but you never know.
Certainly, there's always questions to be had when you're racing. It's never straightforward. It's not ever cut and dry. So there's some major questions going into this weekend's race. We have some upgrades coming into this race as well. France is usually a great testing track. It is built purposefully as a test track. So a lot of the teams will be bringing in new components. Haas is bringing in their final set of upgrades for the year. If you ask me, it's a little bit too early to be bringing in your final upgrade package for the year. And it might be a mistake on Haas's side, but we'll see. They were already a very developed car to begin with. So we'll have to see what upgrades they bring because it seems like now they are really, really on the ball and impressing me, which is really, really awesome to see them doing so well at this point in the season.
Definitely. I think it's going to be really interesting to see if they can continue with their momentum. Of course, they had the double points finish at the British Grand Prix. They had another double points finish. Can they make it three? I recently saw a quote where Gunther Steiner said that he would love to finish P6 in the championship. I think he knows that some of their bad luck and Mick not scoring points until now has really hurt them. And there's no telling. Of course, we're only halfway through the season, but there is still a lot of time for them to make up ground and make a push. But I feel like he's underestimating the power of the Haas. I honestly feel like they could finish in P5 or P4 by the end of the season.
Yeah, there's definitely some good points there. I think that P5 can still be in sight for them, as McLaren seems to have dropped off a little bit. Their performance hasn't been so well in the last couple races. They've also had a bit of bad luck. So scrapping for all of those points, this midfield race this year has been so crazy, and we've been saying all year now how this midfield race is really going to shape up to be one of the best midfield races we've ever seen well, in our history of watching the sport. And for Haas to be P5, that would be amazing.
Yeah, well, they currently sit at 34 points. And of course, Alpine is right now P5 with 81. They are tied with McLaren. McLaren also has 81 points. So it's going to be really interesting to see how everything unfolds. George Russell was right a few years ago when he said that consistency is key. And McLaren has not been very consistent. There are some days they look great, some days they look terrible. Really hurts your fantasy if you keep them in there. I don't really want to talk about that all too much, though. But yeah, no, it's going to be really interesting to see where Haas goes from here. We have two drivers who have a home race, that being Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon. What do you think we can expect from the two of them?
Ooh, that's a good question. They haven't really been on my radar as much this year, only because Pierre's had horrible luck this year in the AlphaTauri, and Esteban Ocon has been doing great, but we just don't get to see him all that much. But he has some merit to perform well this weekend. His car has certainly been one for the ages, and when Renault or Alpine gets the car right, they really get the car right. And we almost saw a pole position from Fernando Alonso in Australia. So we could very well be in for a stunning performance if the car is all hooked up from Esteban Ocon this weekend in France. And it would be amazing to see a French team, French driver, do well and perhaps even be in sight of a podium if everything goes well.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And, Fernando was also close to pole in Canada where he was P2 in qualifying. Of course, the race did not go as well for him. But yeah, no, I think it would be really exciting to see Esteban thrive. I know that AlphaTauri does plan on having some upgrades for this weekend, so maybe that can help Pierre make a bigger impact in the race, because so far it's either been bad luck or he just hasn't been as good as he was last year. And yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see what this race does. It's our second last race before the summer break, so everyone keep your eyes out because these next two races could be a big piece of drama in the season as we head into the summer break. So until then, guys, you guys Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys very much for watching. Give us a like on Instagram and also give us a follow on TikTok. And we will see you guys in the next one.